Ethan, I paid for your college. I found you a job. I covered your medical bills. Is this how you repay me? So yeah, I got sucked into a novel. In the original story, I'm the villain, the ungrateful, social climbing parasite, and the shameless other man. The male lead, my benefactor, sponsors my education. His wife, worried I'm lonely, decides the best way to comfort me is to take off her clothes and let me do whatever I want. If I refuse, she threatens to ruin me. If I go through with it, I fall right into the husband's trap, and my ending is even worse. So what would you do? Later, the husband points a gun at my head and asks, my wife, my mother, or $1 billion? Which one is most important to you? And I'm supposed to tell me, what's the magic combination of words that makes him turn that gun on himself? Ethan, honey, bring my pajamas in for me. The sound of Sophia's voice from the bathroom, all syrupy and seductive, made me drop the silk nightgown like it was electrified. The fabric felt smooth as cream against my skin. According to the original script, tonight is the night I sleep with the female lead, Sophia, for the first time. Sex before marriage? My character's morality score takes a 1-point hit. She's a married woman. Morality score drops by 99 points. She's the wife of my greatest benefactor. Morality score gets a penalty of 999 points. After our little tryst, Sophia gets pregnant with my kid, and her generous husband gets to raise it. By then, my morality score is so far in the negative, it's an offense to God and man. Look, in my old life, I was basically a professional critic of bargain bin web fiction, a bottom feeder in the digital slush pile. But I have principles. I'm a man of integrity, down to the last follicle. I wouldn't do something so scummy it would curse my non-existent children. Luckily, I still have a chance to change my fate. What are you thinking about, sweetie? The bathroom door creaked open. Sophia emerged, wrapped in a fluffy white towel, moving with a liquid grace that could stop traffic. She was the female lead, all right, a total bombshell, the kind of delicate collarbones that just beg for trouble. Come help me. Your big sister's had a little too much to drink. My whole body tensed. That was the signal. What the hell was I supposed to do? Everyone loves to blame booze for their bad decisions, but we all know you're still conscious enough to know what you're doing. I couldn't afford to piss Sophia off, to lure me into her bed. This woman had showered me with gifts, a condo, a luxury car, 2 designer watches, and countless other smaller presents. In the original book, after a night together, she casually tossed me a debit card with $1 million on it. And there was more where that came from. Buried under that much cash, even a saint would crack. Sophia. I started my voice tight. I just saw Jackson. She paused, fluffing her long, dark hair. What about him? Is he playing that push and pull game again? See what I mean? The woman was shameless. She wanted the cozy, domestic life with her husband, Jackson Pierce, while also craving the thrill of my young, handsome body on the side. I could feel the desire radiating off her. If I dared say no right now, she might not force herself on me, but she'd definitely take back every single thing she'd ever given me. Then she'd grind me into the dust for good measure. I couldn't fight her, and I couldn't run. Jackson's going home, back to New York. This time, he's serious about the divorce, because you already signed the papers. What? Impossible. Sophia was so shocked the towel slipped, revealing a flawless figure that practically glowed. Damn, the author did not skimp on the female lead's assets. I took a peek, then another. Wait, where did my moral compass go? Whatever. I had plenty of morality points to burn. Sophia didn't even notice me looking. In fact, she seemed vaguely proud. Jackson adores me. He would die for me. Why would he ever divorce me? Ethan, if you keep spoiling the mood, I'm going to get angry. I sighed long and heavy. A week ago, did Jackson ask you to sign a document? You were on the phone with me at the time. You flipped straight to the last page and signed your name. That document was your divorce agreement. No. Sophia was finally getting agitated. Memories churned in her mind. A week ago, she was on the phone with me, and Jackson had handed her a file to sign. I thought it was a contract for a new property. She vaguely remembered seeing the word divorce on the paper, but at the time, she hadn't given it a second thought. The regret was hitting her like a tidal wave. Seeing her doubt, I pressed on. 3 days ago, was he burning photos? He said they were getting moldy. You didn't pay attention, but he was burning your wedding pictures. That. Now she was truly panicked. She replayed the last few days in her head and knew I was telling the truth. A wave of dizziness washed over her, and she nearly collapsed. The reality that Jackson was actually leaving her shocked her morality and shame back into existence. Her face flushed a deep crimson. Turn around, she snapped. I'm getting dressed. Once she was clothed, she headed for the door, tossing a card onto the nightstand. Not a word of this to anyone. I picked up the card but blocked her path. Sophia, how are you going to win him back when you get home? Are you going to get on your knees and beg? Swear that you never cheated? Her eyes turned cold, all traces of the seductive woman from moments ago gone. Are you telling me what to do? You're just a hired help. The other man who's never supposed to see the light of day. You were the one who seduced me. Good thing nothing actually happened. I'm clean. Jackson still loves me. See? Women. Ice cold. She flipped a switch and pinned all the blame on me. Like how I asked you to take your clothes off. You poured your own damn wine. You walked in my damn room. You even brought your own damn condoms. Ultra thin, long-lasting, strawberry fire and ice flavor, you said. But this wasn't the time for a fight. I managed to smile. Sophia, I just think we should come up with a plan that works for everyone. One that stops Jackson from divorcing you and convinces him we're innocent. No man can tolerate his wife sleeping with another guy. And if one exists, it definitely isn't Jackson Pierce. She still didn't believe me, muttering to herself. Jackson loves me most. He wouldn't. I snorted. If he loves you so much, why'd he burn your wedding photos? Shut up, she shrieked, her anger redirected entirely at me. She raised a hand to slap me. I caught her wrist. Sophia, if you don't calm down, Jackson is really going to be gone. She deflated, lost, and broken. Just like in the book, the moment she was about to truly lose the male lead, she started her desperate, groveling redemption tour. Did she really love Jackson? I didn't buy it. What woman who truly loves her husband tries to sleep with a guy he's putting through college? It's only because my moral fiber is ridiculously strong that this didn't turn into a porno. If anyone else had been dropped into this story, they'd be tangled in the sheets by now. Sophia slowly composed herself, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. Who are you, really? How did you know I signed divorce papers? How did you know my husband burned our wedding photos? How did you know he was going to leave me? She was a CEO, after all. Sharp. Not one of those brain-dead female leads from a cheap drama who only knows how to cry. I couldn't answer those questions, obviously, but I could solve her problem. I opened my hand, revealing a small vial. Siren's Kiss, the latest aphrodisiac. Dissolves in water, no color, no taste. Sophia, if you keep interrogating me, Jackson's going to be on a plane. She didn't trust me anymore. In her eyes, I'd gone from an innocent kid to a calculating schemer. You want to drug me? Give me a break. Her bluntness gave me a headache. It wasn't me who wanted to, it was the original Ethan. Turns out he didn't even need to. Sophia was hornier than he was. You're mistaken. I prepared this for myself. I was afraid my conscience would get the better of me. You know, performance issues. Jackson's my benefactor, after all. In the end, she took it. As she left, I added one more piece of advice. Make sure Jackson gets a good, clear look at your body. He needs to know nothing happened between us. Sophia stumbled. How was he supposed to see that? I was speechless. Sit on his face. Any man can tell the difference between. Well, you know, her eyes lit up. She shot me a thumbs up, her face blushing furiously. I couldn't be sure Sophia's plan would work, so I had to make a sacrifice of my own. The next morning, I knocked on her front door. The last time I was here, I was Sophia's favorite little assistant, and just some punk kid in Jackson's eyes. Back then, drunk on Sophia's favor, I'd been a real pain in the ass to him. Thinking about it now sent a shiver down my spine. This time, I took a deep breath before he opened the door. The second I saw him, I dropped to my knees and hugged his leg. Jackson, you have to save me. If you don't help me, I'm not going to be a real man anymore. My eyes darted to Sophia, who was walking up behind him. She gave me a subtle okay sign, and I felt a little bit of the tension leave my shoulders. But it wasn't enough. We were only halfway there. Jackson was clearly not happy. His face was a thundercloud. It was probably because of all the crap I'd pulled before, sharing a drink with Sophia from the same glass, kissing her cheek, hugging her. For any husband, that crossing a line. Add to that Sophia drugging him last night, and it'd be scarier if he wasn't pissed. He tried to shake me off his leg. What kind of game are you playing now? I told you. I'm not falling for any more of your tricks. Jackson, you faked a sob. You're still misunderstanding things with me and Sophia, aren't you? I can prove my innocence. He just scoffed, unconvinced. Sophia looked on, a mix of suspicion and fear in her eyes. I smirked internally. Looks like it's time to bring out the big guns. Sophia, turn around. I stood up. Jackson, you forced my hand. After Sophia reluctantly turned her back, I gritted my teeth and dropped my pants. Jackson, look. The thing is, my equipment makes a Ken doll look well endowed. Anyone who's ever seen a doll knows what I'm talking about. What can you do with something the size of a pinky finger? You couldn't break a hymen with that thing. Oh my God. Sophia gasped, instinctively blurting out, "How did you?" Jackson. I cut her off sharply while pulling my pants up. This woman couldn't keep her cool to save her life. You see, I physically can't be a man. Sophia found out and has been trying to help me. I was too ashamed to go to a hospital, too scared to see a doctor, or even think about dating. Only Sophia. She's been like a sister to me. She never once looked down on me. Sophia's face was a mask of shock. She'd clearly seen something last night. Now she looked at me with pure, unadulterated gratitude. She stealthily held up 5 fingers. 50 million. I got the message and gave a slight nod, then turned my attention back to Jackson. A kaleidoscope of emotions passed over his face, finally settling on shame. Ethan, why didn't you tell me you had this condition? Look, I'll take you to a specialist. We can get this treated. I'll cover all the medical bills. The hospital was the last place I could go. I was about to make an excuse, but Jackson's expression was firm. If I refused, he'd get suspicious. Time for the nuclear option. I feigned excitement. Jackson, thank you so much for helping me. As soon as I'm married and have kids, I'll pay you back. What? Jackson took a step back, his eye twitching. Ethan, what do you mean, pay me back? You don't mean... I nodded eagerly. Yeah, like in that old movie. A transplant. You give me yours, I give you. No. Jackson's face went white as a sheet. You're kidding, right? I looked shocked. Would I joke about something like this? He wiped sweat from his brow. That's a movie. In real life, that kind of procedure isn't. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't actually suggesting we swap packages, and he was taking it seriously. Hilarious. My ultimate weapon was still on cooldown, so I gritted my teeth and made another offer. Jackson, actually, I don't have to have this surgery. Sophia mentioned she's always so busy, and she can't always satisfy you. But absolutely not. That's even worse. Jackson looked like he was going to be sick. He grabbed Sophia's hand and practically ran out of the house. I rubbed my nose. What the hell was wrong with these people? They just took off? Abandoned their own home? They were still in pajamas and slippers. Am I really that terrifying? Mr. Vance, your case of temporary shrinkage has been treated for now, but it's not a permanent cure. No sexual activity for at least 6 months. Avoid smoking, drinking, and definitely no self-stimulation. The old back alley doctor rambled on, but I wasn't annoyed. I handed him a bank card. Here's the rest of it. $250,000. I need you on a plane today. Remember our deal. Otherwise, your kid's overseas. The doctor nodded eagerly, pulling out his phone to show me his flight confirmation. I still didn't trust him, so I personally drove him to the airport. Only when I saw him board a direct flight out of the country did I finally breathe a sigh of relief. Having him induce this condition came with risks, but compared to my life, it was a worthwhile trade. The main problem was Jackson. He wasn't a good guy. He was sensitive, paranoid, and vengeful as hell. I had to eliminate any shred of suspicion he had about me. Everyone in L.A. thought Jackson Pierce was just Sophia's doormat husband, a stay-at-home spouse. The truth was, he had another identity. He was the heir to one of the most powerful families in New York. 5 years ago, he'd left it all behind for love. Now, he was regretting that decision. If he reclaimed his status, he would undoubtedly send people to deal with me. The best-case scenario was prison. The worst was being completely erased. In the original novel, my fate was the latter. I remember how my ending was written. Someone asked Jackson what to do with me. He waved his hand dismissively, like shooing a fly. Make him disappear, and just like that, I vanished without a trace. 2 days later, at the headquarters of Miller Corp. In the CEO's office. The moment I walked in, Sophia, sitting in her throne-like leather chair, gave me a mischievous look, her eyes drifting downwards. Ethan, hurry up and take your pants off. Let me have another look. I shot her a glare. Was this woman even human? I just saved her marriage, and now she wanted to mock my sacrifice. You really do have a short memory, Ms. Miller. You think our crisis is over. Sophia slid a check for $20 million and a resignation letter across the desk. My husband already tore up the divorce papers. He's also let go of his prejudice against you. He won't suspect us anymore. The only crisis I have now is you. Sign this, take the money, and get the hell out of L.A. Forever. I laughed internally. Sophia really was a cold-hearted piece of work. But I couldn't leave. Not yet. My crisis wasn't just Jackson and Sophia. Besides, crisis is another word for opportunity. Now that I've finally had an in with these rich folks, I'd be letting my high moral score go to waste if I didn't cash in. How can you be sure he didn't make copies of the divorce agreement? And do you really think he wanted to divorce you just because of us? Sophia sneered. What are you trying to pull now? I know you're a normal man, and I know you're well-equipped, but I can't rest easy until you're gone. I ignored the letter and calmly sat down across from her. What if I told you someone sent me to get close to you? What do you mean? She asked, suddenly alert. Who? I spoke slowly. Your husband. Impossible. Sophia shot to her feet. He loves me. He has too much pride. Why would he hire another man to seduce his own wife? I sneered. Who paid for my college tuition? Who got me the job at this company? Who mentored me, step by step? And who was it that always made sure I was in the right place at the right time for you to notice me? You're full of it. Sophia stumbled backward, collapsing into her chair. She was trembling. Impossible, she whispered. Why would he do that? He loves me so much. I rolled my eyes. Was she that overconfident or just brainwashing herself? He loved you, but you don't love him. What's his favorite food? What brand of clothes does he wear? Have you ever once taken care of him when he was sick? When your family and your friend were mocking him, calling him a useless stay-at-home husband, a pathetic trophy? Did you ever defend him? No. You enjoyed watching them grind his dignity into the mud. You work late every night. Sometimes you don't even come home, leaving him alone in that big, empty house. You've been emotionally neglecting him for 2 years. Whatever love he had for you has long since died. Ms. Miller, I guarantee you he has a copy of that divorce agreement. Sophia was stunned, her face pale as a sheet. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the confusion and despair in her eyes. I knew she was re-examining her own behavior, finally realizing the damage she'd done. The one who is loved is always reckless. But who can guarantee that love lasts forever? After a long silence, she looked up at me, her voice filled with a desperate hope. Ethan, you're telling me all this. You're trying to help me, aren't you? I hid my smirk. This woman would pledge allegiance to anyone who could give her what she wanted. I didn't deny it. For now, we needed each other. Jackson pushed me towards you precisely because he doesn't love you anymore. If you had resisted, his entire plan would have failed. What a shame. Sophia winced. So what do you suggest? We do now. I smiled faintly. Simple. Love disappears. But love can also be. May, for the next month, your only job is to sleep with him. Get pregnant. We'll figure out the rest later. No. Sophia shook her head firmly. My company is about to go public. I can't get pregnant right now. I almost laughed out loud. What an idiot. Without Jackson, her company would go bankrupt, but I wasn't about to tell her that secret. 1, I needed leverage. 2, she couldn't keep her mouth shut. Then prepare for a divorce. That's not an option either, she insisted. Help me. If you succeed, I'll give you $50 million. Excellent. We had a price. Sophia and I were partners again. I left her office and took the first flight to New York. I wasn't there to see Jackson's family. I was there to find the book's second female lead, Victoria Thorne, of the powerful Thorne family. I had to drop Jackson's name just to get a meeting. The moment I saw her, she went on the attack. Ethan Vance, assistant to Sophia Miller, CEO of Miller Corp in L.A. The charity case Jackson Pierce put through college. What? Sleeping with your boss wasn't enough for you. Now you're sniffing around Jackson's ex-fiancée. How much do you hate him? My breath caught in my throat. This woman was no joke. The book described her as gentle, kind, and beautiful, but it conveniently left out that she was the heir to a corporate empire. She was formidable. Too bad she was obsessed with love, still single after all these years, just waiting for Jackson to come back to her. Ms. Thorne, let's not play games. Ms. Miller and Mr. Pierce are not getting a divorce. I'm afraid you've lost your chance for good. Oh, Victoria wasn't disappointed. She was intrigued. From what I know of Jackson, he's not the type to tolerate being cheated on. She probably knew him better than anyone. I had no reason to doubt her. I nodded in agreement and handed her my phone. You wouldn't believe me if I just told you I didn't sleep with her. Luckily, I have proof. Curious, she pressed play. The video showed me in Jackson's house, proving my innocence. Holy hell, that's insane. After watching it, Victoria looked like her brain had short-circuited. Is that real? My sources say you don't have that condition. I remained calm, letting her scrutinize me. It wasn't like she was going to personally verify it. Ms. Thorne, whether it's real or not is irrelevant. What matters to you is that if Mr. Pierce and Miss Miller get back together, your window is closed. I hear they're trying for a baby as we speak. Having a child changes everything. She knew Jackson. If there was a kid involved, he would never leave. Even if he did divorce Sophia years down the line, he'd bring the child back to New York. More importantly, the clock was ticking. She was almost 30. You're working with Sophia? I nodded. How much is she paying you? She asked. I held up one finger, hesitated, then held up a second. She smiled. I'll add a 0. Work with me. I smiled back. Mission accomplished. As a show of good faith, I produced a small vial. Siren's kiss. This is what Ms. Miller used to turn the tables. And a word of advice, Ms. Thorne. The firstborn is always the favorite. A few days after I got back to L.A., Jackson asked to meet me. The location was interesting. I walked in, feigning a nervous sweat. Ethan, why did you bring Victoria Thorne to L.A.? You think my life isn't complicated enough? I knew a guy like Jackson was not only well-informed, but also sharp as a tack. There was no point trying to outsmart him. Jackson, I did it for your own good. He laughed, but it was a cold sound that made me shiver. I quickly explained. Sophia is always busy with work. She neglects you, takes you for granted. Victoria has been waiting for you for years. She's completely devoted. A man should marry the woman who loves him, not the one he loves. My wife will always be Sophia. Jackson's voice was full of emotion, his eyes resolute. I could never betray her. Victoria and I. It was never meant to be. I nodded along, internally screaming, You've really committed to the bit, haven't you? What a damn hypocrite. He was the one who wanted the divorce in the first place, who subtly pushed me toward Sophia. He knew my personality, my ambition. Too bad my arrival rewrote his script. Now he was playing the devoted husband who would never cheat. Anyone who believed that was an idiot. Was there a bigger fraud on the planet? But I had to play along, because he'd chosen to meet me at the Redwood Hills Children's Home, the place where I grew up. Not long ago, I had wired $1 million from Sophia's payout to the home. It wasn't out of the goodness of my heart. I had another motive. To put it bluntly, I was intentionally giving Jackson leverage over me. Powerful people need a handle on their subordinates. Money, power, women, family. I was an orphan with a non-functioning dick. The children's home, where I was raised, was the perfect weakness. And just as I planned, Jackson took the bait. Seeing my silence, he glanced over at the old building. I hear 9 out of 10 kids here have some kind of disability. So tragic. He said the words, but his eyes were empty. He didn't feel a shred of pity for those kids. Or for me. As expected of a blue blood raised to see common people as pawns. Too bad he was a fool for love. But what was even more unfortunate was that his love sickness was starting to heal. That couldn't happen. How was I supposed to make money off a perfect, flawless heir? Ethan, Sophia gave you millions before this. Why didn't you ever send money back? That was a tricky question. The original Ethan hated this place from the bottom of his soul. He fought tooth and nail to escape and sever all ties. I feigned a wistful look. I grew up poor. I just wanted to save as much as I could. Jackson, the truth is, I'm sick. He tensed up, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. That condition of yours. I'll find a specialist. The transplant surgery is still too experimental. I shook my head. It's not just physical. My mental illness is much worse. My therapist says I have $100 million deficiency syndrome. Jackson looked confused. What's that? I rubbed my nose. It means that if my bank account drops below $100 million, I get extremely anxious. I can't work. I have no appetite. In severe cases, it could be fatal. Jackson let out a cold, humorless laugh. That's one illness I don't think I can treat. I'm not a doctor, and I can't cure that. Just curious, how much you have saved up now? I held up my pinky finger. Less than 10 million. Jackson, if you help me cure my illness, I promise I'll help you handle Sophia. His face instantly darkened. He pointed towards the gate and spat out a single word. Get out. Getting kicked out by Jackson didn't bother me. I knew that as long as I got the job done for him, a few $100 million was pocket change to him. It was almost lunchtime, so I headed over to see my #1 client. The moment I walked into Miller Corp, I noticed that my coworkers, usually so friendly, were actively avoiding me. They'd see me coming and immediately turn away. It gave me a bad feeling. I knew why as soon as I entered the CEO's office. Ethan, perfect timing. This is Dylan. He'll be taking over your duties from now on. Dylan was a bit taller than me. Not as handsome, but he had a cleaner, boy-next-door look. "Ethan, nice to meet you. I hope we can get along." He smiled sweetly. "And don't worry, I'll take very good care of Ms. Miller." I ignored his passive-aggressive bullshit. I didn't care how he planned to take care of Sophia. She kept her head down, focused on her documents, clearly wanting to avoid a scene. I knew what she was thinking. She'd managed to placate Jackson for a little while and was feeling bold again. 5 years of marriage had obviously bored her. She wanted to be like her friends, one man at home and a few on the side. You can't help someone who's determined to self-destruct. Fiend. I was done trying to earn Sophia's money. "Ms. Miller, as her business partner, and in consideration of the money you've already paid me, here's a friendly tip. Jackson's ex-fiancée, his childhood sweetheart Victoria Thorne, is in LA. I hope you don't lose too spectacularly." Without waiting for her reaction, I turned and walked out. This woman had been a CEO for so long she thought every man on earth revolved around her. Good thing I'd already gone to New York and invited Victoria over. This time, Sophia needed to learn a hard lesson about who really held the cards. "Ethan," Sophia called out, panicked, but I was already gone. She muttered the name to herself. "Victoria Thorne. Dylan, have you found anything on that matter I asked you to investigate?" And no, Dylan was a little scared by her sudden change in demeanor. It's like Mr. Pierce's background in New York has been completely scrubbed. "Ms. Miller, is it possible he's not actually from New York? Maybe he—" "Bullshit." Sophia slammed her hand on the desk. "She met him when she was in college in New York. Keep digging. And while you're at it, look into Victoria Thorne. Find out if she's seen my husband in the last 2 days." This time, Sophia got her answer quickly. When she saw the video her investigator sent, her world went black. Without a word, she grabbed her purse and ran out of the office. I didn't expect Sophia to find me so quickly. She used her key to get into the condo she'd given me. The moment she saw me, the usually proud and powerful CEO bowed her head in apology. "Ethan, please, you have to help me. I messed up again." I sat on the sofa, watching her silently. The elegant, composed woman was gone. Her hair was a mess, and her left cheek was slightly red, as if she'd been slapped. "You went to see Victoria? Lost the argument and the fight, and your husband took her side?" She looked up, surprised. "How do you know everything? You really can see the future. Get rid of Victoria for me. I'll give you 100 million. I had to laugh. Did she think she was tipping a valet? I needed her to raise the price herself. This woman, maybe it was just her character in the novel, but she was impossible. I try to make her a decent wife, and she just can't help herself. It's only been a short time, and she's already trying to line up a new boy toy. Maybe she saw the displeasure on my face, because she got anxious and started explaining. "Are you still mad about Dylan? There's nothing going on between us. He helped the company land a billion-dollar deal with Summit Holdings. Promoting him was a business decision. My husband knows, and he supports it." I sighed deeply. "Sophia, you are a truly pitiful and pathetic woman." "What did you just say?" She flared up. "Who do you think you are to talk to me like that?" "Ethan, everything you have I gave to you." I smiled. Now she was threatening me. "Sophia, has it ever occurred to you that Dylan works for your husband? Or perhaps for Victoria Thorne?" "Impossible," she retorted instantly. "Jackson is just an ordinary man. How could he have that kind of power? The Summit Holdings deal, why is it impossible?" I cut her off. This was wasting time. "Sophia, you are absolutely useless. 5 years. Summit Holdings has been pouring money into your company like it's water, and you've only just barely qualified to go public. Think about it. Besides a devoted simp like Jackson, who would throw billions of dollars at you for nothing." Sophia had always been confident, believing she had built Miller Corp through her own talent. She thought Summit Holdings backed her because they saw her potential. Now, with my words stripping away her illusions, she looked back on the last 5 years. "You're right. Without Summit, I wouldn't be here today. Could Summit really be my husband's? I don't believe it. He's just a stay-at-home husband who doesn't know anything about business." I shook my head. She said she didn't believe it, but she was already guessing the truth. She just didn't want to accept it. For years, she had maintained a sense of superiority over Jackson. She loved being in control. She reveled in the world's respect, believing it was Jackson's duty to sacrifice for her, to be the man behind the woman. She wanted that to last forever. Too bad for her. Jackson was done. He was finished being her lapdog. Sophia came over and grabbed my hand, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. Who is Jackson, really? Now that Victoria was in LA, there was no reason to hide it anymore. The game was more fun when the players were evenly matched. Jackson Pierce, heir to the Pierce family of New York. Victoria Thorne, daughter of the Thorne family of New York. Sophia, what chance do you have left? This time, Sophia collapsed to the floor, covering her face and sobbing. After a long while, her makeup was a mess of tear tracks. Ethan, I'll give you 200, 500 million. Just get rid of Victoria. I celebrated internally. See, a woman's money is the easiest to earn. Then again, it was also the hardest. I can't do it. If you had listened to me from the start, maybe, but you had to make Dylan your assistant. That was like waving a giant flag at Jackson that said, I still want to cheat on you. Besides, Victoria is leagues above you. I won't give up. Sophia stood, her eyes burning with a new fire. She was ready for one more round. Where's the siren's kiss? Give me another vial. No, give me 10. I was glad to see her fighting spirit return, but her fate was already sealed. She was just a pretty face with no real power. If Jackson hadn't been secretly propping up Miller Corp., it would have gone bankrupt 5 years ago. How could someone like her be the matriarch of the Pierce family? If you want to wear the crown, you have to bear its weight. Sophia couldn't, which is why my plan was always to make her the mistress. But I couldn't tell her that yet. We discussed a two-pronged strategy. First, she needed to get pregnant fast. Second, she needed to take Miller Corp public as soon as possible. But things rarely go as planned. One day, I got a frantic call for Jackson. He'd been beaten up, badly. When I arrived, I heard someone shouting at him. You pathetic loser. Who the hell do you think you are, trying to get my sister to have your baby? You should have stepped aside a long time ago. Ethan is my sister's soulmate. Sign these papers and get the hell out of our house. I pushed the door open, sweat beading on my forehead. I had a feeling I was one step closer to being erased. Jackson was on the floor, his lip bleeding, a bruise forming on his forehead, footprints all over his clothes. The great heir looked pathetic. Was this something a lowly wage slave like me was supposed to see? I want to turn and run, but someone called my name. The attacker was none other than Sophia's younger brother, Kevin. Ethan, you're here. He came over, expecting praise. This loser Jackson actually dared to buy my sister prenatal vitamins. The nerve of him, thinking she'd ever have his kid. I sighed, standing nearby, watching the show with a cold expression. Was their mother, Laura? Ethan, we're making Jackson sign the divorce papers today. Our Sophia should be marrying you. I forced a bitter smile. She couldn't marry me. If she did, I would be 1,000% turned to dust. I looked at Jackson on the floor. His eyes were ice cold, a look so sharp it made my soul tremble. It was over. The prince was pissed. What could I do to calm him down? Smack, smack. I slapped both mother and son across the face. With my back to Jackson, I tried to signal them to shut up. But my brilliant teammates didn't get the memo. Ethan, why did you hit us? You were the one who told us to force Jackson out. I want to drop to my knees and beg for mercy. It was all my fault. I'd completely forgotten about these two disasters. They had just gotten back from a trip abroad and immediately picked a fight with Jackson. I helped the prince to his feet, diligently brushing the dust and footprints off his clothes. Jackson, this is all my fault. Admit your mistake first, then pass the buck. If I told you I had nothing to do with this, that was all their idea, would you believe me? He snorted, clearly not believing a word. He winced in pain and waved a hand. This is my house. Get them out. You loser. Kevin started to yell again. I shut him up with another slap and, through a combination of pushing, pulling, and threats, finally managed to get the two troublemakers out of the house. Outside, Sophia arrived, fashionably late. The moment she saw them, she slapped her brother twice without a word, then pulled him and her mother aside to whisper frantically. Less than 3 minutes later, mother and son were gone. Sophia frowned. What now? I was speechless. I opened my hand, another vial appearing in my palm. Go easy with this. Don't use it unless you have to. Too much is bad for you. Sophia gave me a thumbs up. I have to hand it to her. As the female lead, she had plot armor. After half a month of hard work, she actually succeeded. 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. She found me immediately. What's our next move? I studied her face. The tension was gone from her brow, replaced by her old confidence. The cold, powerful CEO was back. Huh, she never learned her lesson. Did she really think a baby would give her control over Jackson? Dead wrong. Time for some tough love. Ask Jackson for a divorce. And give him the company. What? Sophia shrieked, staring at me in disbelief. Whose side are you on? I'm paying you to help me, not to ruin me. If I go down, you don't get a dime. I already knew what kind of person she was, but hearing her say it so bluntly still stung. No wonder Jackson was willing to be a cuckold just to get away from her. This woman was ice to the core. Maybe it was for the best that she and Jackson were stuck with each other. Neither of them was a saint. Sophia, the Pierce family has sent people from New York. You've lost. In business, in marriage, in love. On every front. If you don't make a desperate move now, you will lose your only chance to enter a truly powerful family. Sophia had her pride. She hated to lose. But as the CEO of Miller Corp., she knew just how terrifying a family like the Pierces was. The only card she had left to play was a 2-week-old fetus. I'll compromise. I can agree to a divorce, but Miller Corp has to be mine. I put my head in my hands. Do you really think the heir to the Pierce fortune gives a damn about your little company? I'm talking about showing good faith. Do you understand what that means? It slowly dawned on her. You mean Jackson will agree to the divorce but won't take my company? I thought. In that case, can I not divorce him? I still don't want to. I think I still love him. I was dumbfounded. Did pregnancy brain really hit this hard? What was she even talking about? I didn't have time for her nonsense. I'm going to go pull some strings for you now, try to get you the best possible deal. You go home and stay there. Be careful. Someone might try to harm the baby. This time, her brain was working. Don't worry. Victoria wouldn't stoop that low. Go tell her I don't mind if she's the other woman. I had to laugh. Victoria Thorne, a queen in her own right, reduced to being a mistress? Even if she agreed, her family never would. I had already planned out the fates of all 3 of them. For now, it was time to see Victoria. But before I could, I was escorted to a presidential suite. A dignified woman, exquisitely dressed and beautiful beyond words, was waiting for me. If Sophia and Victoria were the most beautiful women in the book, this woman surpassed them in both looks and aura. Time had not dared to touch her. Catherine Pierce, Jackson's mother, the head of the Pierce family. She was nearly 50, but looked 28. As I sized her up, I mused that she must have had some cutting-edge anti-aging treatments. She could definitely still have more kids. I scanned the room, my heart sinking with disappointment. I've been lied to. All those trashy dramas lied to me. The tropes about powerful CEOs and heirs being drugged and taken advantage of were all fake. Forget the 2 bodyguards outside the door. There were 4 female bodyguards inside the suite, plus all sorts of high-tech security. A normal person had 0 chance of ever getting close enough to offer their body. You have a lot of nerve. I quickly lower my head. Hello, Mrs. Pierce. My apologies for staring. It's just that you look even younger and more beautiful than Ms. Miller and Ms. Thorne. I couldn't help myself. The flattery didn't cause a ripple in her expression. She pointed to the sofa in front of her. Seat. I asked you here to thank you in person. That threw me. I hadn't exactly been doing good deeds. I'd mostly just been shaking people down for cash. Mrs. Pierce, are you referring to? She frowned slightly, clearly not a fan of the title. The Pierce family may not be royalty, but we do have a reputation to uphold. You handled the situation well. So that was it. I let out a breath. Of course, no heir to a great fortune would willingly be cheated on. Jackson's twisted personality was all the author's fault. Thankfully, his mother had a brain. She was normal, but normal people were harder to deal with. Mrs. Pierce, I'm in the process of convincing Sophia to initiate the divorce herself. She wanted it to be a surprise for you. With that, I took out Sophia's pregnancy test and placed it on the table in front of her. For the first time, Catherine's calm expression wavered. She looked at me, her eyes softening. You've done very well. Of course I did. I protected Jackson's reputation and gotten them an heir. It was a good thing Jackson was her only son. Her desire for a grandchild was high. As an outsider, I really wanted to chew Jackson out. He was rebellious and an idiot. He'd spent 5 years hiding in L.A. playing house husband for the sake of some so-called love. Honestly, he deserved to be cheated on. Just then, Catherine waved her hand. Ms. Davis. A woman in a sharp suit appeared at my side and handed me a check. Catherine cleared her throat, and Ms. Davis, understanding immediately, swapped it for another one. Mr. Vance, please accept this. I took it without any pretense of modesty. You didn't play humble with people like this. I glanced at the number and pursed my lips. A mere 20 million. Stingy. And they called themselves a top-tier family. Didn't she know Jackson and I were dealing in 9-figure sums now? Was she really that out of touch? Catherine was no fool. She saw my subtle reaction. A small smile played on her lips. Get them to divorce. The child will be a Pierce. Jackson and Victoria can marry, but it cannot be for love. Do that, and I can add a zero to that check. One sentence, three demands. The last one complicated my original plan. This was going to be difficult. I didn't understand why a mother wouldn't want her son to be happy in his marriage. Catherine's gaze was sharp. For once, she offered an explanation. A love-addled brain is a disease, and diseases can relapse. With my royal decree, I went straight to Victoria. I found the highly educated, sophisticated woman drinking herself into a stupor. Ethan, tell me, isn't Jackson the biggest idiot you've ever met? That woman from the sticks clearly doesn't love him anymore, and he still can't let her go. What does he see in her? Why won't he just turn around and look at me? I rubbed my nose. I'd heard that old-money New Yorkers considered anything outside of Manhattan the sticks. I guess it was true. Ms. Thorne, have you ever considered that maybe you just haven't found the right key to unlock his heart? Victoria froze, the drink halfway to her lips. She sobered up instantly and slapped a card on the table. I poured her another glass, pocketing the card. You and Jackson are childhood sweethearts, social equals. You share the same values, and you're deeply in love with him. You think these are your strengths. In reality, they're your biggest weaknesses. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think cheats more often, married men or single men? She flared up. Are you calling me his backup plan? I shook my head. No, you're the devoted simp. The cool, intellectual woman finally cracked. She downed her drink and took out the vial of Siren's Kiss I had given her. Ethan, it's a shame you're not a real man. I clenched my fists. That was a low blow. Still, I knew a woman like Victoria wasn't the type to seek petty revenge or debase herself after a breakup. She was capable of waiting 5 years for Jackson, not necessarily out of deep love, but likely because she hadn't found a better option. To her, marriage was marriage. She was willing to wait. I didn't like people like that. They were stubborn to a fault. Never marry a woman like that. Ms. Thorne, how would you like to star in your very own redemption drama? Victoria smiled. She understood. The vial of Siren's Kiss dropped into her glass, and she drank it in one go. Let's go. I hope he doesn't disappoint me. I drove her back to her hotel. On the way, I sent a video of her drinking to Jackson. His call came through almost immediately. Why did you drug her? Jackson, don't misunderstand. She did it herself. Where are you going now? The hotel. I have to help her. Flush out the toxins. You're not a man. How can you help her? Jackson, I have fingers. Long ones. 3 of them. Don't you dare. I'm on my way. The line went dead. In the back seat, Victoria stared out the window at the passing city lights, silent. The way her hair fell across her face was undeniably alluring. But I felt nothing. She was just another simp. Jackson arrived quickly and immediately kicked me out of the room. As the door closed, I had no interest in what might happen next. But when I got down to the lobby, I saw Sophia sitting there. She was glaring at me, her eyes filled with fury. Jackson and I are officially divorced. You were right. He had a copy of the agreement. She tilted her head back defiantly, flicking away a single tear before it could fall. She turned to me, her voice laced with venom. Ethan, whose side are you really on? Are you Jackson's pawn? Victoria's errand boy? Or just the partner who betrayed me? I felt a pang of guilt. I had only half fulfilled my contract with her, but I wasn't worried about her refusing to pay. Catherine Pierce, your former mother-in-law, the head of the Pierce family. Sophia looked horrified, as if she'd seen a monster. And no, that's impossible. What kind of mother would hire someone to cuckold her own son? Does she have some kind of kink? I was aghast, instinctively wanting to put some distance between us. This idiot's imagination was going to get us both killed. Don't be ridiculous. I only just made contact with her myself. What are your plans now? Sophia looked lost. I won't be a mistress. I'll have this baby, and I will take my company public. I smiled and slowly shook my head. In my plan, Sophia had to be the mistress. It was in both of our best interests. Or feelings and dignity compared to cold, hard cash. Sophia, do you know why your company runs into trouble every single time it gets close to an IPO? She frowned. You mean, Jackson? No, he's not that petty. Then is it? I was afraid of what she might guess next. Who benefits the most if your company can't go public? Right now, the childhood sweethearts have finally found their way back to each other after all this time. Are you really just going to swallow that? Women are naturally jealous, and Sophia was the textbook definition of vengeful. She could see it now. Without Jackson protecting her, Miller Corp would be bankrupt in no time. She stroked her stomach, the fire of battle reigniting in her eyes. Ethan, what's our next move? I stood and offered her my hand. You're married for 5 years. It's about time you met your mother-in-law. It was the same presidential suite. The first meeting between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. In front of Catherine, Sophia had none of her usual CEO bravado. Instead, the tears came instantly, her eyes welling up, a picture of tragic beauty. Mom, you have to stand up for me and your grandchild. The prim and proper Catherine froze, turning to give me a dark look. I rubbed my nose and shook my head, signaling that this wasn't my idea. Who would have thought that Sophia, the powerful CEO, would suddenly transform into the wrong daughter-in-law, seeking justice from her mother-in-law? She just cried. No explanations, no begging, no complaining. She just cried until her nose was running. It was a pathetic yet brilliant sight. Even I felt a little sorry for her. Her tears were her best weapon, more powerful than any words. And you could see it working. Catherine's carefully constructed composure was cracking. Her expression shifted from indifference to annoyance to helplessness, and finally, to sympathy. She even shed a tear or two herself. Women, natural-born actresses, they can break your heart with a single teardrop. Finally, Catherine managed to calm Sophia down and had someone escort her to a room to rest. The moment Sophia was gone, Catherine's cold mask was back in place, her eyes filled with disapproval for me. This is your solution? I blinked. Mrs. Pierce, are they divorced or not? Is Jackson with Victoria or not? Is the baby in Sophia's belly a Pierce or not? Only when the three of them are tangled up together, when none of their feelings are pure, can Jackson's love-addled brain be cured. What more could you possibly be unsatisfied with? I shrugged nonchalantly, plopped down on the sofa next to her, and picked up her teacup, downing it in 2 gulps. I've been sitting here for ages without a drop to drink. Before I could even put the cup down, I heard several sharp intakes of breath from the hidden corners of the room. Whatever. I had my money from Sophia and Catherine. Tomorrow, I collect the rest from Jackson and Victoria. I was a multimillionaire now. I didn't have to kiss anyone's ass. Besides, I probably wouldn't see Catherine Pierce ever again. She didn't flinch or move away. Of course, she didn't get any closer either. In her eyes, I was still just air. Take your money and leave. I grinned. As I was about to leave, I asked one last question. Ma'am, do you offer any post-project services? Catherine was momentarily surprised. This young man always seemed to know what she needed. She looked at me intently for a long moment, then gave a slight nod. Come back to New York with me. I fought to hide the triumphant leap in my heart and nodded eagerly. Mrs. Pierce, I have another proposal. An emperor who sits on the throne for too long loses touch with his people. Have you ever considered touring the world and letting the crown prince rule in your stead? Her eyes lit up. She squared her shoulders, as if a weight she had carried for 20 years had just been lifted. Perhaps it is time to retire. What? You want to accompany me? I smiled and nodded. I would rather be your knight, ma'am. Epilogue. Jackson one morning, after returning to New York, I woke up. It turned out I was the male lead in a novel. The simp, the doormat, the cuckold. Wait, the plot was different from the book. Ethan never actually slept with my wife. Had he woken up too? Looking back, it was obvious. And he'd woken up a long time ago. I cursed under my breath. That bastard faked a medical condition to deceive me. He was never impotent. I climbed out of Victoria's bed and walked out of the bedroom to see a very pregnant Sophia sitting at the dining table. Looking at her, I suddenly remembered the original plot of the book. She and Ethan had not only cheated, but had also treated me with contempt and ridicule, leading to her own tragic downfall. In this reality, she hadn't cheated, but the events of the book felt so real in my mind that I looked at Sophia with a fresh wave of disgust. I wanted to be as far away from her as possible. But she was carrying my child. I couldn't just abandon my kid, could I? What a mess. Oni, come eat breakfast. I said nothing. Seeing Sophia's happy, gentle smile, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Did I still love her? Maybe a little. Did I hate her? Maybe a little of that, too. But I knew one thing for sure. I was waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity for her to screw up again. Just then, Victoria walked out of the bedroom, greeting Sophia as she sat down at the table. The two of them seemed to have gotten used to this arrangement. But this life brought me no joy, no happiness. In fact, it felt like I was living in hell. And it was all Ethan's fault. This was all his doing. If he had just stuck to the damn script, I wouldn't be in this miserable situation. Outsiders probably thought I was living the dream, But they didn't know that these two women spent every single day scheming against each other. It was torture. Victoria, where did Ethan run off to? Victoria glanced at Sophia. Your sister wife is the one who keeps in touch with him. Sophia rolled her eyes. He and Mom are skiing in Zermatt. I'm so jealous. They just fly all over the world having fun. I heard their next trip is on Musk's rocket to outer space. Crash. I saw Ethan's Instagram story and threw my phone against the wall. At that moment, I wanted nothing more than to erase him from existence. The son of a bitch hadn't touched my wife, but he had climbed in. The thought made me sick with rage, but I was powerless to stop him. The anger was burning me alive. My mother was getting senile in her old age. What could a punk like Ethan possibly offer her? She not only kept him by her side constantly, but was also planning on hiring surrogate for them. Absolutely not. Sophia, call Ethan. Tell them both to get back here immediately. If they don't, I'll have that children's home he grew up and bulldozed. Sophia just pouted and didn't move. Victoria kept scrolling on her phone, equally unfazed. I exploded with rage, but it fizzled out just as quickly. It was pointless. Arguing with them was just tormenting myself. For months later, the day Sophia went into labor, Ethan and my mother finally came back. The anger that had been simmering for months was unbearable. I needed to let it out. I found Ethan alone and pointed a gun at him. Ethan, how dare you seduce my mother? He looked shocked. Jackson, you've got it all wrong. I'm the one who was seduced. I didn't believe him. I knew from the book that the one he really loved was my ex-wife, Sophia. I cocked the gun. My wife, my mother, or $1 billion. Which one is most important to you? Ethan didn't seem scared at all. He just smiled calmly. Jackson, you already know the answer. We have children now. A surrogate. Twins, a boy and a girl. They're very healthy. You'd better step up your game. You gotta earn a lot of money now. His words made me want to explode. I wanted to shoot him right there. Then kill myself and leave this filthy, ridiculous world. I regretted it all. I regretted ever helping that ungrateful bastard. If there was a next life, I would never, ever help anyone again.